Hello?
Hello?
What's up?
Hello.
Can you hear us?
I can hear you guys. Can you guys hear me?
You sure
Yes,
can.
loud and clear as well. How are you doing?
Good. How are you guys?
I'm really
Good.
How's quarantine treating you?
I'm fucking over it.
Yeah, right. I'm way over it. And if I have to stay for the next semester for college, like if I have to stay home, that's gonna be a huge bummer. A huge
Tyyonn, we
bummer.
graduated though, did we? Though?
Yeah, we already know it. You already know it. We out of here.
Wait,
We out there.
what year did you graduate, Brooke? The same year as Ty?
Yeah, we graduated same class.
Same class.
I
Same
wonder how
class.
I wonder how they would do online classes at home for AMDA.
I think I'm sure they're
Yo,
I'm sure they're doing like mass dance classes, I think.
I've
What you
been
say?
talking to people that are still there, especially
Mhm.
the fourth semesters. So what they have to do is like
Oh,
send in self-tapes. The teachers will send out a dance combination. You have a certain amount of hours to record it
what?
and send it back. There's Zoom. I think there's like a Zoom thing for like acting scenes or something like that.
Well, when you
But the dance and stuff, that's
What
all.
what about the showcases though? They can't
Oh,
do that anymore.
they don't have showcases.
Oh, that
That's messed up.
sucks.
or the showcases.
That's when the showcases were when we got to basically, I guess, showcase, like we put on a show basically to showcase our talent or our growth.
It's
I
like
would
open to
say.
the public.
Yeah, yes. So basically,
Yes.
showcases are a way for us to get seen by casting agents, um, talent scouts, and it's a way for us to basically show ourselves off to the world what we've learned the past 4 semesters, and everything that comes within that. And it's a chance to work under a quote unquote off Broadway equity contract, from costumes to lights to rehearsal process. It's pretty dope,
Let's see.
aggravating,
It is very aggravating.
but it's very dope. And then you get
Yes, very good.
reels to send in to the casting agents that are very professional. That kind of just starts you off in the industry as in a great way.
Yes,
Wait, Ty, do you have a reel?
I sure do. I showed you
Wait,
my
you have
stuff.
a
I showed
reel?
you.
I didn't
I
see the
showed you.
reel. Oh, if you did, I
I
forget.
sh- well, I guess if I forgot, I'll show you again. But
Wait, did you edit it or who edited that? Or,
no, they edited it because we did. They
wow,
recorded
that's
each
actually
night.
so cool.
They recorded each night, and they only chose the one night that everyone did their
The
best.
the director chose the night he felt was the best, or
Oh,
he or
the
she
direct.
felt was the best. But you also could request a different night if you felt like you messed up that night.
Right.
There was always a mess up.
Because
How many?
I fell off a chair one night, and
What?
during one of the dance sequences, I fell. And the cut we got, Kevin ended up falling off his chair in this cut. And I thought they were going to choose the one where I fell. But either way, I don't know. It's crazy.
That must suck for the people that are there for their last year. How many showcases are there a year?
Depending on how many classes there are, because there's going to be like each class will do a drama and a musical showcase. So
And a panel night.
and a panel night, yes.
It depends on how many people are graduating in that class. So our class was very small, but the classes after us were the biggest classes to ever be at AMDA in its entirety. So like our musical theater groups, we had like A through E, but the semester after us, that are fourth semesters now, have like A through like Z.
Yeah.
So it went from like 2 showcases in a theater to 3 or 4 or 5 at the same time.
Yeah.
So
See, that must be I wonder how hard it must be to take, because I feel for the math people who have to take classes at home, because that must be so hard learning math by yourself, but also performing arts. Like when you guys were there, what was the hardest class you guys took personally, both of you?
What was your hardest class, Bert? Or what do you think? What do you think was like?
I mean, is it like a college credit system? Because I'm taking.
That's in the BFA
LA
program.
campus.
Yeah.
So basically, our classes that we took at the conservatory can be counted as arts classes or electives if we wanted to go to a different school and just get our BFA, which means we would just have to take general eds for like a year and a half. But I don't know. My hardest class, I think, would have to be either acting or musical theater. And I say musical theater because I was into music before I got to AMDA.
Right.
And I did shows, but I just didn't understand the extent of work that you had to do to really make sure that you are the character, that you are telling a story, that you are completely and utterly invested, that it's not about you, it's about the character and their story and their journey.
Right.
And I would say learning how to tell a story and not perform and entertain was my hardest. So I would say between musical theater and acting, those were my hardest classes. That's because you had to be real. You couldn't be fake with anything that you did, and you had to live under those circumstances. And I was so used to just giving a good show that, you can get out of touch with what you really need to do, which is tell the story and to touch people's lives. So.
Yeah.
You remember, I remember the very first day that shit was about to get real, like that we were about to learn some real shit, was when it comes to like being truthful. I remember Elaine wanted someone to act like a baby in the middle of the floor. You remember that? I think it was the first day.
Oh my God.
And I started acting like
day?
Yeah, the very first day of music
theater
class.
And this man started crying for real. Oh my God.
And then Mackenzie came up and she like started like coddling me, trying to like soothe me. And then Alexis came up, she's like, "You better quit crying before I give you something to cry about," or something, like, joking around. And I remember Elaine, just like, after we all laughed, Elaine sat us down. She was like, "Now there's a difference." She gave us an objective, which was to get me to stop crying. Mm-hmm. And you could see the difference between people who actually tried to get me to stop crying, or who were just pretending to get me to stop crying, like to throw a joke in there or something like that. So it's like,
I didn't get up there because I was going to go full Black Mama.
Right.
I just sat down.
Was it voluntary? You didn't have to go up there if you didn't want to?
Yeah, it was voluntary. Everything was voluntary because we didn't know the extent of how deep everything was going to go at AMDA, because you come in, you sing, you do your placements, you get placed in all of these categories, and you walk in on the first day of class and you're expecting it to be like Fame or High School Musical, but then shit gets real. Like it gets so real. You go from coming in thinking that you can sing to leaving the class not knowing whether or not you have enough range to make it.
Yeah, that's what
I told Cody the story when Ray called me a pussy in class. Remember that?
Oh my God. Oh my God. Everybody was just so shook because Ray did not care. And it was our second semester. It was our second semester. We were about to split. So our first and second semester, you're combined with everybody that you come in with at placements, and you kind of have like a family, almost like a cast, so to speak, for the first two semesters that you work with. They've seen you at your low and your high every day. And you're about to split and go into these different groups with people you don't know, teachers you don't know, and you're just getting ready to enter a whole new world of performing, and you're not necessarily ready for it at the time. And I just remember it was like coming to the end of our second semester and everybody was stressed out. And this man just called Tyyonn a pussy in front of the whole class. Everybody was like, we were shook, like, and shook.
But see, it takes so much confidence in general to just get up there and act in front of people. I don't know if I told you, Ty, but I'm taking Acting 101 next semester.
Hey, okay.
for a core 4. I'm going to be, if we even go back next semester, but if we don't, it'll be easier. But I'm going to be very nervous going up there to act. And if my professor turned to me and called me a pussy because I couldn't act well enough, that would just diminish.
But he knew what he was doing.
He did know what he was doing, yes.
Because it wasn't that Tyyonn could not act. It was that Tyyonn was pushing himself and not staying in the scene and listening and just really being in the moment because he thought that's what he needed to do. Right. And as a young actor, you think your goal is to please the audience when your goal is really to please your partner and act with your partner and get get what you want, use your tactics to get what you want from the other person in the scene. Because at the end of the day, your character still has to go on that journey. You as the actor have to be conscious of how your character is going to get there, but your character has no idea how it's going to get to the end of the show or the scene. So you just have to keep all of that in mind. And that's all that was. And then he came in the next day and he killed.
Killed. I'm telling you.
How did you have the motivation to go back? Like, I would have been like, what? Okay, maybe I'm not understanding the situation. Like, it sounds like he just called you a pussy and then just left. That's not.
No.
That's not
like, it does cut class after that. Like, you know what, Tyyonn, you're a pussy. Everyone go home. I'll see you tomorrow.
Our classes were like, our acting classes second semester were like 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But they went 5 fast though. That's the thing.
Our acting classes third semester became like 3.5.
Yes.
So our acting classes second semester were like, I don't know.
But how would you like? How does an acting class work? Like, how does the professor teach you to act? You know what I mean? Because I've never had one. So it's
do you want to answer that?
Especially if it's 3 hours, like 3 hours, like that seems. But maybe you gotta start to first from. This is what I took from it. At the beginning, especially when you're trying to teach someone how to act, you need to let them know that what they know is not true. Especially when kids are coming to like a performing arts academy like that. Like Jason, remember, he told us that everything we learned in high school and acting on that is bullshit and forget about it, and we're going to teach it from the ground up. And you just got to start with your technique, with like stillness, being comfortable in uncomfortable situations, the breath, all that. It all starts with techniques first, and then you get into character, and then you get into the core work, and then you start getting into layers of each person, and then you get into the scenes and the objective behind it and all that, and what you want from the other person, and you learn to be in the moment a lot more. Acting is just being truthful under imaginary circumstances, but there's a lot that goes into it. It sounds simple, but
definitely, like, I think as a professor, acting, you're taking the natural ability of a lot of different kids, because a lot of people can act. They just don't know it. We act in our everyday lives.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like the way we talk, how we interact with human society.
We code switch all the time.
We are characters, and I think when people think of acting, they think it's a whole different person, when really it's just another person's life. You're just telling their story. It's really, like Tyyonn said, stripping you down from the ground up. So my high school, I went to performing arts high school, so I got acting 101 in high school. So when I came to AMDA, it was more or less not stripping away what I knew from high school, but it was getting out of that childish mindset and becoming an adult actor. Because as a kid, everybody's going to think you're doing well because you're a child and you're getting on stage. And that in itself is hard enough. But when you get into the adult professional world, there's so many layers, like Tyyonn said, character development. You have to go through the play, the scene. You have to learn this about this character, how your character walks, how they eat, how they talk, everything. So it's more layers than just memorizing lines.
Every little response that your character makes to something, you gotta have at least 3 reasons for why they would respond in that such a way. And the audience needs to know all 3 of those reasons when you respond that way. It has to be clear to them. And it's like every little thing. It's so deep. It's so
deep.
It's so deep.
Wait, Ty, do you think not having, probably not, but do you think not having an acting class, and like we didn't have an acting class in high school. Do you think that like affected anything at all when you went there?
Say that again?
Not having an acting class prior to going into a performing arts school like AMDA, did that like, was that hard on you?
Yeah, it was hella hard. It was just like,
first of all, it must have been intimidating for anyone going into AMDA. Like,
listen, I told you how intimidating. I sat next to this girl, Brooke, the very first day. Remember that, Brooke, at orientation? And you see how confident and how big her energy is right now. Imagine that. Now everyone else is nervous. This girl ain't nervous. This girl knows what she's doing. She loud, she confident, and I'm sitting next to her, scared as shit. And she's like, what's your name? And I'm like, Tyyonn. She's like, oh my God, you so cute. What you gonna sing? I'm like, oh my God.
Wait, so you you had to get up there and sing at orientation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. See, that right there, I couldn't do that. How many people were at orientation?
It was the whole summer class, and there's not a lot of people that normally come in a summer class.
Mm-hmm.
So they put you in these.
Mad lucky.
Yeah, we did.
Just saying.
They put us in groups at orientation, and then you met up with your group, and then you went in with your accompanist, and you sang your 16-bar cut, which you were going to do the next morning for placements. To see where your voice teacher was going to be. They were still kind of making changes to groups. So we were A's first semester. Mm-hmm. There's a stigma that A's were the best, but I'm just saying. I personally think that everybody is equal, but they like to say that the A1s were the best. I mean, we were.
You know what? But, let me say this. I didn't even like that that was held against us, because like I didn't even care. I was just there to learn, bro. I was just trying to learn.
What were you in?
I was in
A.
Okay.
He was an A. And everybody was so nervous, like that first day we were singing. Right. And I'm like, everybody calm down. Like, we perform for people we don't even know. For less. Like, just get up there and sing. And Tyyonn was just sitting next to me with his cornrows in, just looking like looking all around. And then he's sitting in between me and Jack Ray. And Jack, listen to this. I love you, Jack. But he's sitting in between us. And Jack is one of those musical theater boys who just knows his theater.
Yes.
Loves his theater.
Loves his theater.
Gender bends, the whole nine. So Tyyonn is sitting in between us, and he's just like looking so nervous. And I'm like, bro, it's only 2 Black people right here in this little area. We need to stick together. We need to sing, and we need to.
Dennis was all the way on the other side. He was too far away.
Right, Dennis is on the other side, and at this point, we didn't have my Asia in our group, so it was just the 3 of us. It was only 3 Black people at this time. So it's like we see each other, and then Tyyonn and I are sitting right next to each other. I'm just like, bro, if you don't loosen up, my nigga, but it was so cool.
What song did you end up singing, Ty?
I sang the song we sang at orientation was a song we had to sing when we auditioned for the college. So I sang "Heaven Helps the Man" or "I'm Free" from Footloose when we did. Footloose.
I think it was the Footloose one.
Yeah, the Footloose one.
Because you had on the Footloose shirt. And you said, I'm singing. He was so corny. I remember this day. My man's had on the Footloose shirt. He asked me what I was singing. And then I asked him what he was singing. And he was like, I'm singing something from Footloose. And I said, really? You have on a shirt from Footloose, you lame? What are you doing? Like,
I didn't know. I had no idea. Wow. It was that pink one, wasn't it?
It was the pink Footloose shirt.
Remember the pink Mickey Mouse shirt I wore? Minnie Mouse shirt? Y'all all roasted the hell out of me.
Jason roasted the hell out of me because you should have threw that bitch in the trash.
I liked it. Y'all are rude. Y'all are so rude. Cody, I remember I did the scene, and Jason's like, is that really what you think the character would wear? I was like, I mean, it's nice. He was like, and he looks at Leighton. He was like, Leighton, if you and Tyyonn had a date and he showed up like that, are you giving him mask? And I'm like, wait, what the fuck?
Wait, did you guys have every class together?
Yeah.
Like even dance?
No.
You didn't have dance?
No.
We had all of our fundamentals together, which was film lab, acting, musical theater. What was that other class?
VPS.
Oh my God. VPS.
What's VPS?
Jenny.
Voice production and speech. So basically, they teach you how to speak for the stage, which uses American Standard English dialect.
Yes.
And you learned all of the sounds in the IPA alphabet. You learn how to write an IPA. You learn how to transcribe. If you don't already know, like Scansion and Shakespeare, it just helps you because a lot of people come from different places and have different dialects. So how I'm talking to you right now, I'm from Chicago. So people are going to, they might understand me, they might not. But when you get on stage, you have to learn how to switch for characters in different regions. And so it just kind of taught you how to speak very clearly and properly so that you can be understood on stage.
I also took it as the language is what we're using we're conveying the language to each other, and it's being heard by the people. Like back in Shakespeare's time, like most people couldn't really see the stage, but they could hear what was being said. They could hear the story being conveyed to them. So if the audience can't hear what you're saying and they don't know what's going on, they're not getting the story conveyed to them. So it's just and I think that's what Ray said. Like that's one of your first job as an actor is to make sure the story is being told, and that starts with speaking correctly and making sure your diction is well enough that everyone can hear you.
That you're on voice, that you're breathing.
Breathing, yes.
BPS was really good to help you get connected to your breath. And you can tell that to a normal person and they're not going to understand what I'm saying. But I almost can guarantee when you connect to your breath, your life, you're so in tune with the world and everything around you. You're so much more grounded and focused. And things you didn't notice about life, the little things just become more important because you've taken the time to get in touch with yourself. And that's very, very important, especially as an actor. What did Jason say? We are emotional whores. This is the job that we signed up for. And you will have days when you are mentally incapable of telling a story that reaches so deep into your past. Right. But you have to, because you don't know who is going to inspire. And on top of that, you're getting paid. So you got to go in and you got to do what you got to do. So you got to make sure that you're mentally and emotionally able to go to those dark places and come out of it still okay, still the same person.
I want to say that was beautiful, Brooke, by the way. I want to also
thank you.
I also want to say that's the one thing I liked about AMDA, because they gave us all that they gave us the deepness and how intricate acting can be. But then they also gave us that business side, like, nah, you still gotta get paid. We're still out here trying to get jobs and all that.
They definitely did, because we love what we do. Like, isn't that why people become artists? You love what you do.
You love it.
So sometimes there's going to be days where you do not want to get up and do a show 8 times a week, or go on set and do a scene 500 times because you're just emotionally drained or you just physically are tired. But they taught us in the midst of us as people, we still have to make sure that the character story gets told. So however I'm feeling does not equate to how my character is feeling. Right. So I can be so drained to the point where I just had 2 hours of sleep, but I can guarantee Becky, my character, she's going through something way deeper than what I am. And her story is going to inspire somebody in the audience or touch somebody or bring them out of a situation. Who am I to deny somebody of that freedom? Right. You know, that's very selfish. So that's another thing I really enjoy.
Right.
See, I can't imagine like the Broadway actors who have to perform every single day.
They're the real actors, bro. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you this right now.
That's like insane.
I was watching Newsies on Disney Plus the other day, and just like Jeremy Jordan just kills me, because like that is some superb acting, and if you're doing that 8 times a week,
wow, for sure.
I know I talked about this before, but Brooke, I did one play my entire life, and I was the genie in my high school play as Aladdin. And the only reason
so you do one show and you automatically get one of the best roles to
here's the reason.
Created?
Here's the reason. I was originally student directing it with my friend Sheridan, and we casted Tyyonn as the genie, right? Tyyonn drops out the next day.
It was like a week. It was like a week after.
A week after, and then we had no genie, so then I just step in and be the genie. And I did fine, but my point was I can't, like, we only did 4 days of like plays, and we had to put on the make, and I had to put on blue face makeup every single time. And I was just frustrated day one doing that, and I couldn't imagine like what the genie on Broadway has to deal with, or even like the lion in the Lion King. Like, how much makeup he has to put on.
But that makeup's good though. Like, it's not.
But even then, the makeup that they put on Broadway, it's not as much makeup as people seem, unless it's like Wicked. Like, unless you're painting green every day, there's really no other role that you have to put on like that blue makeup or anything. But makeup in itself as a woman, it's a lot. It's a lot to put it on.
all the dance teachers wanted you to come to class like
full face.
Yeah.
Full face, like, and that takes 30 minutes out of your personal time every day, because you have to get up, you got to put on makeup, which means you have to get up even earlier. So you have to learn different ways and different things, how to calm yourself before the storm. Because I know sitting in a chair and doing it and then hearing all those people, it gets very, very, very frustrating. I could tell you, I just finished Memphis. I did a 3.5 week run of Memphis. And if you know the show, it's vocally draining, it's physically draining, it's emotionally draining. It's dealing with topics of racism. But I had to come into the theater. My call time was like 5:30 or 6. I came into the theater at like 4:45.
Right.
4:30.
Every day?
Every day. We did like five shows a week. Including like a Tuesday show at 10 a.m. and then we had Sunday matinees. So coming in every day, and my character, her makeup was so much. It was so beautiful, but it was so much because I had to put it on, and then I get beat up. So then I have all this fake blood on me, and I have 15 minutes to take all the blood off, put on some more makeup during intermission, and put on a new costume and get ready to go out and do the second act of the show, which gets even worse than the first act. So it was a lot to deal with, especially getting into that mindset every day of the different time period. So it's just, you have to think what this story is doing, what it's saying, what's the message, and how tonight can I be better than last night? Okay, my voice is probably not the best tonight, but what did I do last night that I can do tonight? Right. And halfway through my run, my voice was hoarse. And doing that show, how could I ever?
You ain't go.
And I had a night where I sang a note, and the note just didn't come out. Like, I was like it just didn't come out. And I was backstage flipping out. And in that moment, I knew that the story was greater than my physical being. It all equates back to what I said before, how you're physically feeling. It always equates to that. Right, that night after the show, this little girl came up to me and told me she finally had the courage to go out and do musical theater because she saw me play in that character. So it's very, very, you always have to just go for it, regardless of how much makeup you got to put on, how emotional you have to get. It's very, very intense. So yeah, for sure.
But also is like, because also with musical theaters, there's also dancing, mostly dancing involved, right? Like usually most of the time.
Yeah.
So like, wait, how are like the dancing classes at AMDA? What dancing classes you take, Ty?
what was that, Brooke?
Jokes.
Jokes.
Because he's funny. We had jazz, ballet, tap, and theater dance. And in each of those classes, we had required pieces that we had to learn. And we also had performance pieces that we had to do at the end of the semester. A combination, an across the floor. And depending on what level you in, depending on the intensity in which the class was.
Yeah.
Ty, you walked in there with no dancing experience.
Yeah, none. No, I can't even say that. I mean, I knew what I wasn't. I could dance. I had rhythm. You know what I mean? Like I knew what I could catch a beat.
Did you take like ballet?
Yeah.
How did you
Tyyonn was really good. I'm not even gonna hold you. He took that information in. He did what needed to be done.
I had to. I mean, I remember the fucking remember second semester where we were in level 3 ballet, and then who was it? Jackie, was that her name? That moved me up. She was like, actually, you're in level 4. I'm like, wait, what? I went all the way up to Lars's room. I was late. He wouldn't let me in. I said Jackie's name was Rachel. He cracked a joke. Everyone started laughing at me. It was like, and when we got in there, like, he threw these words out. He was like, all right, I want you to go do a glissade pas de bruit changement, I don't know, assemblée or something. He was just throwing words out.
That's crazy because I failed
them.
ballet second semester.
I remember that. I remember saying that.
I failed ballet second semester, and then I had to take it again third semester. But I didn't have to pay for it. Hello.
Amen.
That was God.
How do you fail ballet? Like how was a test? How is a test taken in ballet or something like that? An exam.
So our performance was like 5% of your grade.
Yeah.
So if you didn't show up for a final, you could still pass. It was really just about you showing up every day. Mm-hmm. And if you missed a certain amount of classes, even though I made up all of the classes that I missed, and they're supposed to take 1 absence off, so I really had 3 absences. But
I believe like after you
miss 3, then you fail. Yeah.
Fail?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you miss 3, well, each class had a certain amount of like music theater was 5. It was like 5, yeah. And music theater acting was like 5, but like it's about showing, because how are you going to learn if you're not there showing up in the room? Right. It wasn't like you can just get you could get the notes off of someone, but it's like you never really know. Like you got to be in the room to learn and to grow in that environment to like experience. You know what I mean?
Was a final exam like a performance piece you had to do, like a dance?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And everyone had like every level had to do it. Every class had like a level with a different teacher, and like everyone one by one with like their class would come out and do that routine they'd have to do. But like, I mean, they weren't hard. They weren't really. It's just you just had to go.
The lies you preach.
I mean, yeah, yours was hard. Like yours, because you had freaking Casey first semester for jazz, and that shit y'all pulled out. Well, after we all come out, we're all doing our little jazz routine, whatever. Then the level 4s come out and they start fucking it up, and it's like, what? And you know what's funny? Y'all would just slay it. Cody, I'm talking about. You would watch people dance, and it's like, oh, sweet, everyone's dancing, growing, cool. Then Cody, imagine like these fucking superheroes just come out and just start doing triple pirouettes all over the floor, and then the teachers would have just the way the teachers would pick at your performance like that afterwards was like, I mean, I get it's the teaching environment. Obviously, you're trying to learn and grow, but I was like, damn, because they quiet all of us down after they were done performing, because we started clapping, and they were like, all right, calm down. It wasn't that great. I was like, what?
Yeah, we would feel horrible. I know personally, I would feel even worse because I could dance. I have a lot of I have natural ability, but being in the class with the dancers that I was in, and it was only like 8 dancers. So being in the highest level, I was just so nervous because I just felt like I can dance, but these people have been dancing. Like, I have been dancing since I was 12, but these people have been dancing since they like came out of their mom's placenta. So like they were just doing all of these turns and like leaps, and I'm like, y'all, I'm thick. I don't know about y'all little skinny niggas over here, but I'm a little curvy, and I just don't know if my feet is gonna get off the ground that high. So it was just a lot. But even in that, you still learn from them. They never I believe that they never placed you in a level they didn't think you could excel at, or that you couldn't learn from, or people you couldn't learn from. Like, I was in the class with Joy Woods And shout out to my girl Joy, who is off Broadway right now doing a little shop. But she had been dancing since she was a little girl, and her ability to move was just so captivating.
I love watching her dance, bro.
Literally, she would help me. We would go into practice rooms. She would help me with choreography. She would help me with my pirouettes. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people were stingy with their talents at AMDA, but the people that you met that were actually very, very talented, which I can say personally, like, they would help you. They wouldn't want you to fail or succeed. To fail, they would want you to succeed, rather. And so nobody was really selfish when it came to that. But
that's very true.
Yeah,
that's very true. All right, this has been another episode of Generally Speaking with Ty and Cody. Make sure you follow us on all the social medias at Twitter, Generally Speak 9, Facebook, Generally Speaking with Ty and Cody. We are out on SoundCloud, YouTube, which you're listening on right now, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Make sure you like us, share us with your friends if you like it, you know what I mean? Get the rotations shared and spreading. I want to give a very, very special thank you to our wonderful guest, Brooke Person, a.k.a. Brooke motherfucking J, baby. Brooke, you have the floor, baby. Do you have anything you want to promote? Give us your social media. Where can we find you? You know what I mean?
Thank you guys for having me on today. It's really fun talking to my bro Tyyonn again.
Yes.
But follow me on all social media, Brooke_JAI. It's Brooke with the E. Hello, not without an E. Okay. Brooke_JAI. Follow me on Facebook, Brooke JAI at Brooke JAI. I mean, you can find me on any social media at Brooke J or Brooke_J. My Twitter is the same thing. I don't post on Twitter, but you can still follow it if you like. And yeah. Yeah, thank you guys for everything, for sure.
Brooke, thank you very much for being on here.
Yeah, it was great having